à esta édition de MedaWeek. Welcome, soyez les bienvenus dans cette édition de MedaWeek à Barcelone. Es un placer formar.
It's a pleasure to be here for the fourth time at this event, which brings together the economic leaders of the Mediterranean and in some way makes Barcelona once a year the centre of so much talent, which makes the Mediterranean one of the most fascinating regions of the world. In the opening session of this MedaWeek, we heard very interesting ideas, which I hope with the guests on the two panels I'll be moderating, we will be able to break down a bit more.
Time in this edition of the MedaWeek here in Barcelona, I want to welcome you warmly, welcome you to our city, to your city. And I hope that some ideas that we've heard in the introduction, in the opening of this year MedaWeek, we can develop them on the two tables with the guests that I have the honor to moderate. But before that, we're gonna start this forum with the intervention online this time of Visnia Letica, advisor to the Minister of Tourism and Sport of the Republic of Croatia. Ladies and gentlemen, I led you with our first keynoter, and I wish that you enjoy this debate and this keynote, and we'll learn a lot of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very sad not to be in person in Barcelona. I hear the weather is wonderful. Here in Zagreb, not so much. I feel that we have a connection today between Croatia and Spain. Today, Croatia is visited by Spain, King and Queen, and we are happy about it. Dear organizers, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Minister of Tourism and Sport, Ms. Nikolina Brnjac, I send her warm greetings to all participants at today's session and to the organizers. Croatian Ministry of Tourism and Sport is honored to participate at the 9th Mediterranean Tourism Forum and discussions devoted to achieving long-term sustainability. For us in the Mediterranean countries, tourism is a profoundly important sector with a huge potential for the future cooperation. Development of tourism in the next decade will significantly depend on its ability to recognize and adapt to the new challenges and trends. The future of tourism will be characterized by digitalization and innovation, sustainable development and combating climate changes, as well as by green and digital transition. This transition should be based on cooperation between stakeholders across the sector and public and private actors at all levels. We should all commit to providing modern tourists with opportunities to make their traveling habits more sustainable and responsible. Furthermore, we have to focus on making jobs in tourism sector more attractive by improving the education and working conditions, as well as mitigating the negative effects of over-tourism and the local population in tourist destinations. Faced with the recent and current crisis, we should all strive to strengthen the sector's resilience to the future challenges, from climate and social to economic and geopolitical. Croatian Ministry of Tourism and Sport participated in several EU-funded projects with partners from Mediterranean countries. Let me mention some of them. Project BestMed was aimed to enhancing Mediterranean governments, tackling seasonality and the lack of effective cooperation among main tourist actors, including citizens' participation in the policy design. Project SmartMed aimed at establishing and joining strategic framework for the smart tourism in the Mediterranean area, capacity building and facilitating the transfer of the best practices among Mediterranean partners. Croatian Ministry of Tourism and Sport also belongs to the Sustainable Tourism Committee, with a task to enable sustainable tourism development in the Mediterranean region. Cooperation with the EU and WTO is also very important, especially in building ties and cooperation with the partners outside the EU. Croatia currently chairs the Committee on Tourism and Sustainability. The last meeting was held in Egypt during the COP27, and the next meeting will be held in Croatia in autumn next year. Croatian Ministry of Tourism and Sports is also leading the work of the Pillar 4 of EU strategy of Adriatic and Ionian region, devoted to sustainable tourism. Our government has a clear vision and a goal we want to achieve by 2030. The National Development Strategy is an umbrella document of strategic planning directs Croatian society and economy, including tourism, towards sustainable, inclusive and innovative development. Our strategy for development of sustainable tourism until 2030 will be adopted by the end of this year. The government has secured funding to support the strategic goals of sustainable tourism, around 300 million euros in grants for funding green and digital transition, both for public and private investments, through the Croatian Recovery and Resilience Plan. An additional 170 million euros from the current European Multi-Annual Financial Framework. In this way, we will strategically direct the new investment cycle towards long-term sustainability of Croatian tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, I have presented to you the work we are doing in Croatia and our cooperation with the partners in the EU and globally with the aim of building a more sustainable tourism. Cooperation remains the key word. Mediterranean tourism industry has to work together on sustainable practices. The state actors need to provide the public sector with a clear policy guidance and direct new investments toward green and digital transition. On the other hand, the tourism industry should be not focus its strength on the short-term growth and profits, but look towards a long-term sustainable development. We have all heard the famous quote, "No man is an island," and this applies very well to the future of tourism in the Mediterranean. We are very lucky to share one of the world's most beautiful seas and tradition of tourism we started centuries ago. It is our duty to work together to protect and valorize our resources so that Mediterranean can continue to provide joy, knowledge and inspiration to tourists from around the world. I wish you a successful Mediterranean Tourism Forum and thank you for your attention. And I welcome you to Croatia and to visit us someday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Visnja, for your words, and of course we all need to go to Croatia. If you don't know Croatia, I've been there twice. It's a fantastic place in the Mediterranean, a beautiful destination with 1,000 islands, beautiful sea, and the most important of all, those beautiful Croatian people, your smile and the hospitality that makes us come back and back again. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we will be moving to the first panel, and I would like to introduce you my guest. I will introduce you Rosana Morillo. She is the General Director of Tourism of the Government of the Balearic Islands. Joins me as well the Secretary General of the Confederation of Egyptian and European Business Association, Mr. Alaes. Welcome again. Nice to see you in every edition. José Tomás, the President of the Forum of the Adriatic and Ionian Chambers of Commerce, joins us as well. And Jonathan Gomez, Director of Tourism of the Malaga City Council. They are here with me presential, finally, after 2 years being online. But we do have two online panelists as well joining us. It's Mohamed Ismail, Tourism Attaché, Egyptian Tourism Authority in the UK, and Adolfo Reyes, he is the head of membership of the World Travel and Tourism Council. Welcome, all of you. I would like to introduce our table with just few numbers. 400 million tourists, 10,000 destinations, 100,000 hotels, and 1 million restaurants. This is part of the family. Just part of the family, because here we need the travel agencies and all the infrastructures, and we need a lot of people that put together what the tourism ecosystem is in our region. This intense flow of tourism through these many years have brought to the area, to the region, many things, some good things and some bad things. But it's been quite a ride. After the COVID, after the crisis, after some economic cycles, what we see, what we faced is an increased international competition. Since COVID, many places in the world have discovered that tourism is a great economic engine, it's a great economic activity, so they have woken up to this reality, and now we are facing much more competition than we were facing before. Customers have changed as well, more sensitivity to some sustainable issues are mainly new factors that drive their decisions to purchase their vacations, their holidays in one destination or another. We are facing a moment of decision on how we're going to change the model. We have to change the model. That I think is out of the question. We have to change the model. We have to work on the product diversification. We have to be more innovative in tourism services. And we have to keep leading the best touristic regions of the world. In the opening of the session, I've heard some great ideas that I would like to recall, just to give a hint of inspiration to start our discussion. And I love the intervention of Pau Solamilla, and he said some things like, we are Mediterranean activists. I think I'm going to hashtag this on my profile everywhere, Mediterranean activists. I think it's a beautiful expression of the way we feel and the way we engage for our regions. He was talking about to focus on action. And I think it's quite important as well to focus on action, stop thinking, stop talking, start doing. We have to do things. He was talking as well about to be open is business, to this diversity, to this 30% of people in Barcelona that they already hold an international passport, 30%. We have to encourage this mobility. We need this mobility. He was talking about smart collaboration and this thinking different as key for progress and innovation. And one last concept that he threw, and I would like to start with it, is about the specialization. We have to specialize. We are really, indeed, specialized in tourism. We've been working for many years. We lead the tourism of the world in our region. And the topic of our table is to go a step farther. Many of us, many destinations, we are leaders in the world. But the region as a whole, could it change the way we understand how we present ourselves to the world? Could we start thinking on going from a model of competition to a model of collaboration? Would it be possible to have this Mediterranean agency that could aggregate all the interests and that could be the key to complete globally? When I proposed the topic to my guest, to my panelists, they said to me, Eva, we are not starting on this. There are already many things that we've been doing. And to start this conversation, I would like to start talking about what we've already been doing, which is quite a lot with Ala S. Because we're not starting from zero, are we?
No, I don't think so. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, our partners online. Actually, I said maybe in the opening of the conference, let's walk the talk. I think now let's run the talk. This is something we have to focus on. Like you rightfully said, we should start looking at co-opetition, where we can cooperate, yet in the same time compete. We have a lot of initiatives that have been going on in the past decades. We have, for example, as ASCAMI, we have MediTours, which is an annual, biannual actually, conference that brings together all the actors, and it's been grasshopping from Malaga to Alexandria to, I think it was Izmir, so it's been moving around, bringing the key stakeholders. So the first step is getting the representative organizations, whether public or private or quasi, together, to sit together to see how can we move forward. What we have discovered over the past years is two key things. Number one, the interest is there, so everybody would like to cooperate, but we need to institutionalize that cooperation. The second thing is maybe summer is not a major problem for all of us. If you want a room, a flight to Malaga in August, you need to contact our dear friend to find for you, sneak a room somewhere. What we're talking about, how can we support the economy of the Mediterranean, touristic economy of the Mediterranean in the winter season. So we started working for almost a decade on what we call non-beach tourism. And this is the key element. Thanks to the European Union, we have at the moment a dozen projects, regional projects, bringing us all together that could help create that institution and move it, give birth to it to become something working in the very near future. We have with us actually partners from these projects. We have iHeritage. We're promoting the non-tangible heritage. We have with the Mediterranean Cruise Association, we were promoting, following the different dynasties around the Mediterranean, selling packages for 3 years, so you guarantee a future market share. We are working on sports tourism. We're working on agro-tourism, culinary tourism, where actually the best food in the world comes from the Mediterranean. We're looking at the different teeny-weeny elements of tourism and bringing all these stakeholders together. And I think what we intend to do, we should do today, is to give birth to an institution that should be virtual. I'm against 100% having physical organizations, hosted by any of us. Ascami can be the host, Malaga can be, any of us can be the host. Presidency rotates between the different partners, and we use it as a melting pot for all the initiative, projects, activities that we have. It's capitalization of these outcomes, creating the awareness, and bringing together the most important thing, people to people. I'll stop at that.
People to people, beautiful, thank you. Rosanna, another view from this changing model from competition to collaboration from your point of view, when you are sitting on top of one of the great jewels, the Balearic Island, which are as well one of best destinations in the Mediterranean.
Yes, they are. Thank you, Eva, and thanks to the organization for the invitation to be here with you today. It's really a pleasure and an honor. Bueno, creo que ya se ha dicho muchas cosas interesantes, ¿no? Por el resto de los miembros del panel. Creo que todos los destinos del Mediterráneo potentes.
I think all destinations in the Mediterranean are powerful. Well, maybe in summer we don't need to strengthen the number of tourists who visit our territory as much, but it is true that we're all working on diversification strategies to try to lengthen that period and to make tourism more sustainable, not just in terms of the environment, but also in terms of the profession, to offer longer periods of work so that we don't have these peak periods as much in the region. So across the region, it would be interesting to have this collaboration space, if we call it alliance or agency, because we have very similar problems. And from the public side, I think we could pool some best practices. The Mediterranean is an asset which we must conserve. Maybe we would not be leaders in tourism if we didn't have this natural and cultural heritage that we have. I think the whole region is making an effort to conserve tourism, but I think if we publish a decree to protect Macedonia, but then my neighbour does not do that, then the protection will not have the same impact. Or if I increase the number of natural reserves, marine reserves that we have in the Balearic Islands, I would like that initiative to be shared so that other territories could join. So we could talk about a network of reserves or a network to conserve Macedonia. So I think together we are stronger. And I really like the idea of public-private collaboration. We've seen during COVID that if we can increase the effectiveness of any measure we take. Of course, collaboration, public collaboration, is so important. In the different territories where we work, it's essential that we have this support financially and business support to be able to develop activity that is coherent, sustainable, and that it has a positive impact. We need to extend that positive impact. Let me now invite my panelists, my online panelists to join.
Online. So, Adolfo, I've got you on the screen. I would love to have your vision. Welcome again. I would love to have your vision on the topic of this panel, on this discussion, and Mediterranean agency, changing model from competition to collaboration. Welcome again, Alfonso.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the organizers for inviting the World Travel and Tourism Council to this very important event. First of all, I want to say that we welcome and encourage collaboration. Working together, we can achieve what we cannot do individually. This is exactly what we do at WTTC. And let's not forget that travel connects people and travel breaks barriers. So it is very important, the collaboration, to bring more travelers to your destinations. As I said, collaboration is one of our strategic frameworks, and I believe as a Mediterranean agency, you would have to put a framework as well to identify those areas where you would like to contribute and work together to achieve something for the region. At WTTC, for example, we focus on three main pillars. One of them is in travel and mobility, where we talk about biometrics, about visa facilitation, cyber resilience, digital passes and passports, and the digital immigration systems. Is this something you need to take on in your future organization or not? You have talked about sustainability. We have one initiative as well, which is called the Sustainable Future, where we talk about, or we discuss topics such as net zero, biodiversity, circularity, future of work, destination readiness and stewardship, and inclusion and diversity. Not many years ago, we were also talking about overcrowding. Barcelona was one of those cities where overcrowding or having so much success was having an impact in the society. So these are topics that are probably not at the top of our mind right now because of the COVID situation, of course, but we have to consider these topics as well. And I believe in the region, there are many cities that may have the same problem in the future if we don't start managing and controlling this overcrowding again. And the third pillar is about digital transformation, the future of travel, mobility in urban cities, wireless. How do we are going to be implementing artificial intelligence and new technologies into travel, the metaverse? How do we take advantage of these new solutions to expose your destinations to the travelers so they can probably experience your cities before they travel to one of your countries or one of your destinations? So this is just an example of some of the areas that an organization in the Mediterranean may take a look at in the future. Let's not forget also, it is very important to have information. And you were just mentioning the 400 million tourists that visit the region, the 10,000 destinations that are in there. We do, that's how the WTTC was created 30 years ago. There was nobody or organizational body that was representing the whole travel and tourism sector worldwide. So the first steps that we took at WTTC, I was of course not part of this organization at that time, but was to start gathering the data to be able to explain to the governments around the world why travel and tourism was important. Before the pandemic, 10.4% of the global GDP came from travel and tourism. We have done some predictions from 2021 and onwards for the next 10 years. And we have seen, or we are expecting that these numbers, that we will continue to grow at the levels that we had in 2019. We are expecting that in 2023, we will reach again the levels that we had pre-pandemic. Already, of every $10 in the world that are spent, $1 comes from travel and tourism. Our economic models estimate that we will be on track for 10 more years of growth. So it is very important to keep these numbers in mind. And not only that, it is even more relevant to identify how many people depend on travel and tourism. It is estimated that 126 million new jobs will be created in the next 10 years. And just as an example, just in Spain, we are expecting or predicting that in the next 10 years, 840,000 new jobs will be created and an average growth in travel and tourism of 4.2%. again, as an international body, we identify the issues through research and to raise the voice of the industry. I think these are also items that you can take on to identify what is impacting your regions. At the global level, our members and the sector has identified that staff shortages, for example, is one of the issues we're all facing. Global inflation, the connectivity issues, and sustainability. Just to close with the examples of sustainability. Right now, we're working on the hotel sustainability basics, where as a sector, we got together the main hoteliers and chains in the world, and we have identified 12 basic indicators that every hotel should be working on their own premises to take a step forward and be more sustainable. These indicators are measured to reduce consumption in energy, water, waste, and carbon emissions. So I believe the collaboration is key, and you are in the right track to get this organization in the right place to advocate on behalf of the Mediterranean tourism industry.
Thank you, Adolfo. Thank you very much for your contribution and putting on the table some of the great challenges that we are facing now. Let's move to the other online panelist, Mohamed. Mohamed, are you there? Hello, Mohamed.
Yes. Hi, good morning.
Welcome,
good morning,
Mohamed.
everybody. Thank you so much. En el primer lugar, yo quería agradecer mucho.
Firstly, I would like to thank all the organisers and the participants at this very important event at MedaWeek Barcelona.
I think driving collaboration could be an ideal scenario when we'll be able to align and adapt our partnership strategy with the strategies of the most Mediterranean destinations, especially in the point related to prioritizing sustainability principles in the Mediterranean zone. On the other side, I believe that internal competition between Mediterranean destinations is not something we have to avoid or to be afraid of, because competition could be an incentive and a motive for improving quality and helping also to innovate. By this way, we can compete as a region in a global world. In general, driving collaboration is a good way to face and to overcome current and future challenges, especially during crisis times. For my point of view, I think if we could set a criteria related to sustainable tourism for Mediterranean tourism industry to be applied with a brand, this could help to increase collaboration in the Mediterranean tourism industry, in addition to the other collaboration programs between Mediterranean countries, such as twinning projects, bilateral and territorial agreements, exchange of experiences related to capacity building, crisis management, and the heritage conservation. As we know, nowadays, Egypt is hosting COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we aim to apply the same concept related to the international cooperation and join forces. In the Mediterranean region, we need to prioritize sustainability principles across and within our region by setting ambitious objectives and strategies for sustainable developments, which are capable of creating new opportunities that will allow us to continue on the path of growth. By this way, I think we can increase cooperation in the Mediterranean tourism industry. And regarding the second point related to the establishment of Mediterranean institution or a regional tourism agency from public and the private sectors, I think it would be a good move if this agency will be able to set expectations, plans, and long-term strategies for the region, in addition to the establishment of a specialized units for crisis management, training, and sustainable tourism, maybe for heritage conservation also, under one brand and one logo and slogan. This is my view in general, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mohamed, for your contribution as well. And let's move back to the stage, the presential Jonathan, what's your vision on it?
Good. Hello?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the organizers, and thank you to Escame for inviting us, because it's a great honor to be here today. Our vision, we share the same vision as all of you, and for us it's all about 3 topics I want to share with you today, which is learn, share, and act. We had a vision from up to 20 years ago, because we are the capital of the Costa del Sol, one of the most renowned and the first European destination for tourism in the 1960s, 1950s. So basically, we were in the middle of a tourism destination, sun and beach destination, and we didn't have our own identity, no matter we have 3,000 years of history. So it was a challenge, and it's a nice story. We wanted from 20 years ago to learn from the best how to become a truly destination based in our roots. And our mayor always said that building the best tourism sustainable destination, it's all about building the best destination for local people. Because if you build the sense of belonging, then all the visitors are going to respect your destination, because they're going to feel part of that. So we learn in 2 ways. We learn just sharing, getting knowledge from cities, that European cities, that they were doing a lot of projects in sustainability. We transformed our city. We became fully pedestrian. We opened it to the sea, because in the past we were not open to the sea. And we learned in the last decade from ourselves. We are now the leading destination in technology in Europe. We have plus 600 companies, including Google and Vodafone, now coming to the city, summing up to Oracle, IBM. And we are blessed on that. And we get data. We learn what's happening in our city to take the best decisions on sustainability, on mobility, on development. So once we learn from the best, we want to share. We become partners of UNWTO a long time ago, and we're going to become partners of WTTC, and we learn a lot from similar entities that can help us, as for example, this idea of the Mediterranean Agency, which is very good. As for example, European cities destinations, which is now City DNA, which is up to 150 European cities that we share our best practices in tourism. And you cannot imagine how positive is that. So from that learning and from that sharing moments, we can act on building the city. We are currently the only one destination in Spain which is fully non-seasonal. If you divide it in the 4 seasons of the year, we have split it, the 25% of the room nights by its season. So it means that how come is it possible, since you belong to Costa del Sol, which is a sun and beach destination? It's because we wanted to grow from our roots, from our history, from our heritage, building the sense of belonging and not allowing more carrying capacity that we can have it, period, as that.
I truly have to congratulate you, because Malaga in the last years, it has been a game changer. Absolutely, and congratulations to all the teams that have been working in this transformation, because actually Malaga, it's a great place to visit now, a great place to enjoy. Yeah. It's a clean, nice, safe, beautiful city with a great vibe and a lot of activity and fascinating things to do. So congratulations to the city and to all the teams, to all the people that have been possible this change. Jose, last to speak, and many things have already been said, but I'm sure that your contribution, we will learn a lot from it as well.
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, I would like to say thank you for being me here, to representing the Adriatic Ionian Forum. We are representing the 8 countries in the Adriatic Ionian region. And on the beginning of what I would like to say, it was a nice advertising for Malaga. It's a great, so it's my turn to advertise Croatia, because I'm coming from Croatia. So after Malaga, come and visit Croatia and see what we can do. No, for sure, definitely. Otherwise, I couldn't come back to Croatia, because Višnja are listening to me from the Ministry of Tourism. So as a colleague from Malaga said, definitely we are at the moment in Croatia facing the problems what you had a few years ago. And that's definitely the huge problem in our cities. It's overcrowded in the season, and it's strictly seasonal. What our guests are coming over there. So we really have so many things to do. And if I mention this Adriatic Ionian region, and I came in from the Split, so we are among the four top cities, which is Venice, Athens, Dubrovnik, and Split. So it's really overcrowded. So we need to do something to spread these tourists and to see possibilities for other to come through the whole year. So definitely we have something to show, but we didn't at the moment present it as we would like to present it at the beginning. So definitely we will use the Malaga experience for sure. What else I would like to say, that we in this region need to sell what we have here, the Mediterranean as it was before. So to sell our food, our history, our lifestyle, because we all know that Mediterranean food is recognized by UNESCO. So why don't sell it? You know, it's really something to do. And if we're talking about this Mediterranean agency, which is really good idea, but on the beginning we need to think, as I told to a colleague from Egypt, we need to think about how to finance that and who will be involved in that and who will paying the whole cost of it. Of course, cooperation is essential, but competition as well is essential. So we have to combine these two things and make it something to make it win-win situation for all of us. And there's as well one thing, it's one kind of the triangle, I would like to say the triangle, which we are trying to do, and it's, again, relating to Malaga, it's a perfect triangle between institutions, which is in the middle, but it has to be the local people, tourists, and business people. So all these triangle has to be happy, and we institution has to be in the middle to make it really easy to going. And I think that's the thing what the Mediterranean Agency should be, that in the middle of this triangle to put the local people to be happy, tourists to be happy, because the tourists will come where is the lifestyle really easy to going, they are seeing that they are not disturbing them, and business environment is crucial. So and we on the Adriatic Forum, as I told, we are representing the 8 countries. We are really trying to do something, and we are one of the 4th macro region recognized by the EU. So definitely you can rely on us, on our experience, because we are more than happy to be in the center.
This shift that we have lived lately from exploiting territories to make touristic activities a shift to give a value to the local communities and to the heritage, right? To use it in our economic activity. It's quite interesting how we are putting the people, the local communities, in the center of our activity, and how we understand that as long as it is good for the local people, it's good. But when it starts not being good for the local people, we have to question the model, and we have to be able to shift to a better social model that impacts in a more positive way our activity.
So just one thing, you know, that's why I mentioned, I'm sorry, that's why I mentioned this triangle, you know, happy triangle, yeah? And I would like just to mention we had the one project which is Mirabilia, and it's counting these all 8 countries, it's including Granada as well, because the less known UNESCO sites, we are just mapping that, because one tourists, when they're coming from America, USA, or from Japan, it's a region, it's a one region, you know, we have to sell this region. So that's why we are mapping all these UNESCO sites, and then when they come over there, then they can visit all these UNESCO sites.
All the destinations. Ala, go on. I think that you have something to add.
I think there is a couple of things we have. I share everybody's opinion. Let's work hand in hand promoting our Mediterranean, and I'll emphasize the word our. And then we compete. The tourist who comes, who steals him from the other, that's another story. But let's first bring him to the Mediterranean, especially off-season. Maybe this experience, I'll come and nag you later to know how you're playing this 25% system. What we would use as the platform, as the jumping platform for doing this, will be 2 things. One, the host of projects that we have projects that bring together the region, regional projects like EPSOMED, and we have our leadership actually of the program. We have a host of cross-border cooperation in ICBC projects. One of them is iHeritage, where we're promoting not the UNESCO heritage, we're promoting the UNESCO intangible heritage. Like food, we have MedDiet, where we went beyond promoting eating Mediterranean. Come and learn how to cook Mediterranean. You stay for 10 days for a course. So, and we bring the kitchen inside the restaurant. So there are tools that we started playing around with that we can replicate. We did it as Learn to Cook Egyptian. It can be Greek, Spanish, Italian. We can play the whole game. What I want to propose is to walk the talk. Why not this panel becomes a steering committee that starts working together. We represent the different regions, north, south, east, west, multi-countries. We have Ascami with us, representing all of us. And we move forward, creating this institution, hosted by whoever, chaired by whoever. We don't care about this. Let's walk the talk in that direction, give birth to it right now while we're sitting, and from there, we can really start blending what they call Team Europe today within the European Commission. We invented it 10 years ago, where we blended different projects and different donors together, and we start. And sustainability is guaranteed not only of that institution, but more important, of our Mediterranean and its people.
When I think of a man of action, I think of you.
Thank you.
And I think that's a great idea, because it's now or never. It's now. The time is now, and this is the time is now. It's the claim of this MedaWeek edition. So it's now. I hope that at the end of the panel we can shake hands and we can start looking how we're going to do that. But I think it's a great idea. Rosanna, you join us for that?
Well, I cannot say no, right? Can I? You wanted action, and I think this is a table of action. No, for sure. I think it's common strategy, common goals, and we should join forces together, still be competitors, but cooperate at the same time. So, absolutely.
Can we count on Malaga, Jonathan?
Of course, right now.
I'm recruiting everybody for you.
Absolutely.
See?
I mean, we have the perfect tool, since we have in Malaga with the colleagues of the Chamber of Commerce. I want to greet my colleague Esther Martinez, which is the Director of Tourism of Malaga Chamber of Commerce. They are chairing the ASCAME for a long time, and they are more than prepared to do so.
And they chair the tourism committee in Ascami also.
Okay, Jose.
First of all, no green, no deal. So that's the
And
that's
no
the
woman,
fact.
no panel.
Yeah, okay, that's it. You know, for sure, definitely we are interesting, because we have lots of things to share and to show, and we have to think all about, because maybe the panel will go finished. But I would like to say what in the next years will come, you know. Okay, that will not go to Malaga, because they are already there. Because lots of the Europe are going to, not Europe, I mean the world, are going to work for 4 days during the week. So the rest will be the 3 days off. Where they are going? They need to go to Mediterranean. And that's where we are. They're having the 3 days off. You know, they will not going every weekend to the shopping mall. They will explore around. You know, they will explore Mediterranean.
I think that some trends will help us on that, and one is how we are changing our work. We are working on remote. We are working in different bases, and that can help very much on these seasonal actions that we want to do to break the seasonal. If people is working on remote, if the weeks are not 5 days weeks anymore, that gives us a lot of change. All the digital nomads, all the silver economy gives us a great change. It gives a great change as well, a new generation of people that they want to get educated and they want to study. Even not because you are 15, but when you are 35 and you want to spend 1 year learning something. I think that the Mediterranean has big possibilities to break this seasonality sort of stigma that we've been living under for many years, that we can have an impact more stable during the year, as Rosanna was pointing, not to a stress destination with that much capacity that sometimes we try to put on them. Rosanna, some conclusions on that?
I think the way is always collaboration, because nowadays I think it's clear for everybody, even in the business, that you cannot do anything alone. You always need to take care and count on the rest of the stakeholders. So I think together we are stronger for sure. And I think any collaboration will help us improving.
Thank you. Any other comment, any other things to share so we can start finishing the panel?
In our Mediterranean spirit, you don't come empty-handed. You have to bring something with you to your friends. And I'm bringing something, an initiative we started a couple of months ago, where your warm office in Paradise on the beach, I have at the moment 80,000 tourists staying, each of them 3 months. We're talking 8 million nights sold in winter for Nordic Europe because of the gas crisis they have. So now they're coming to work online. We just supplied super fast internet. We opened the closed hotels that were closed during COVID, and we started marketing them at low cost. But since they provide a lot to the local community by living there, it's a benefit for us. And this is a way we manage to support winter. So I think this is something we can share the experience in for all the Mediterranean countries.
We have already created these programs with European Airlines, the group of Lufthansa. We have this created, and we are already receiving energy tourists coming from NSAS, Lufthansa Group and SAS Group, from Norway, Finland, Denmark, and as well. But I want to just put something on the table that I think is quite critical for the future of Mediterranean tourism. We belong as a group of cultures and civilizations that rule the Mediterranean and the ancient ages for millennials. And we all feel that proud of that. We learn from very lot of civilizations. We have the mandatory task on building this on the travelers coming to our destinations. We cannot be perceived anymore like a sun and beach destinations. No, we are heritage and the most powerful cultural and civilizations-based destinations of the world. No matter all of us, and all of us, we have heritage from 2, 3, up to 4 civilizations, and tangible and non-tangible. This must be our power. Sun and beach is something more, but our lifestyle and our culture and our heritage should rule the messages that we spread to Asia and to America.
Absolutely agree, Jonathan. We have a legacy of innovation, of creativity, of collaboration, of trading that no other civilization has. And this legacy, we should be proud, and we should be carrying it on for the next generations. Thomas?
Yeah, we are proud, for sure. We are proud, and we need to talk about that all the time. But on the corner, we have the traits in all our countries, and that's about the attractive of the people who are working in the hospitality industry. And that's a really behind of the corner is looking all the time, and that's the huge problem. It's really huge problem in all our countries. So we have to think about that, and that's maybe this Mediterranean agency could do something, not about attract the tourists here, just to attract to be hospitality industry and the people to work in this hospitality industry, because you mentioned before, this 4 days working week, digital nomads, but one on the reception, one waiter, one chef couldn't do on the online at home. So we need to attract them how nice this profession are.
How beautiful is to work in hospitality in the Mediterranean, right? Yeah. What a privilege is that. Thank you very much. I think that we've been very enthusiastic. We've been talking about lots of opportunities, but I think that this has to be a little bit more worked and to face the challenges and to put it on the table. But as you have invited us, and with the blessing of our audience presentially here in La Lodja de Barcelona, and as well everybody that follows us online, thank you very much for joining the panel. Thank you very much for the idea. And I join everybody to be part of it and to keep working, because I think that this alliance, this agency, this moving from competition to collaboration could be the real game changer for the whole region. Thank you very much, Rosanna, Jose, Jonathan, Ala. Thank you very much.
Okay. Just one thing.
Go on.
I think maybe tomorrow you have a duty for this afternoon. Buy one small tree of the olive tree because we are all, and then we will put it somewhere and then see what will happen about this olive tree regarding the Mediterranean agency, how they are growing. We'll do it
Okay,
together.
that's an idea. That's an idea, you got my word. Okay, thank you very much, the four of you. Thank you. Nos hacemos una, shall we take una fotito aquí? A little bit of the, oh, ladies in the middle, okay? In front of the, vale. Like this. And a more enthusiastic like this. Let's put the seat of it, go. Yes. All right, thank you very much. Gracias, muchas gracias. Catch you later. Thank you. Let's sit together. Yeah, of course. You're attending the dinner tonight? Me too. With my husband, so I can introduce you. I'm married, sorry about that. Okay. Vamos a continuar con...
We're going to continue with this forum on tourism on the second panel. So this time I have two guests, two panelists here in person, but we also have Marika Matsowem, who is online. She has not been able to be here. Well, you're missing out. You're the one who's missing out because you're not here with the people. Marika, we're delighted that you're able to join us online.
Thinking about this hypothetical, because it's still hypothetical, Mediterranean agency to add all our values and our assets and to show them to the world and to try to shift our model of high seasonality, dependency on some of our destinations and put things together and growth and keep living our region as the world's leading tourism destination. But in our beloved Mediterranean seas, we have a lot of coastal kilometers, but we have some beautiful pieces, some jewels, the islands of the Mediterranean, which have a special consideration. Some of them, they are pioneer destinations. That means that they've been working for many, many, many years. They've been having many, many tourists, and they are in a more in a cycle more evolutionated than any other ones which are emergent, right? So we have a wide variety, a wide catalog of different destinations in islands in our region. I will let Marika intervene after, and I would like to start with the first vision, with the first thought, just to frame what we are talking about when we're talking about islands in the Mediterranean. Not the whole global destination, but islands that are overcrowded or not, that have sustainability challenges or not, that have a great connectivity or miss some connectivity. So let's put that on the table. I want to welcome Roger Allen, the CEO of RLA Global, and Zdravko Tudor, the member of the senior management of boards of Sunčani, of Hvar, Croatia.
Sunčani, Hvar, Croatia.
Sunčani. My Croatian is not, it's not that good. And Marika Madzi that is with us online. So, Roger, to start with, which is your vision?
Well, I think we have to, well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to the organizers who do a fantastic job of bringing the important decision makers and stakeholders in tourism together. All of the previous sessions have been talking about connecting, and this, there's no better event for connecting the dots, as we've heard. I think the vision is that we really need to understand how sensitive, understand and appreciate how sensitive the tourism ecosystem is. And what are those elements that challenge the ecosystem, particularly in this current volatile environment right now. And I'm talking about, the economic environment that we have right now, with energy prices, potential recession around the corner, that can challenge stakeholders in the ecosystem. We have the challenge of attracting investors into the marketplace because the world is much smaller and investors are looking for opportunities to get a return on the investment. So we have to be thinking of what secures investors. We're also talking about the sustainability, environmental issues, and also, and it was mentioned in the last panel, the workforce. We often forget, tourism and hospitality used to be the most attractive place to work. And it's lost that edge. And where we saw that a lot of the younger generation not wanting to come into it.
When did we lose our sexy appeal for
think
people to work on our
I think probably when technology came into our world, and I think the younger generation, saw that it was much easier working environment. And the world became easier to travel, I think. So I think, when we're talking about building tourism and making tourism destinations attractive, we've got to think about the workforce. That may change now. We're actually seeing the Googles of the world, start to reduce their workforce. So maybe, the younger generation will come back. And when they do come back, we need to hold on to them. But all of those threats are shaped and influenced by policymakers. We need governments and the capital free markets working together. But that, in fact, is shaped by policy. And so we have to understand the role it plays in, mitigating those risks to create a more sustainable tourism environment.
It is absolutely key, this co-governance between the public and the private. We've already pointed it on the previous table, but it's absolutely key, this collaboration, this understanding, and to share the same objectives, to have the same vision and the same objective.
Well, we were speaking just previously before we, in the breakout session, how I think during the pandemic, the tourism office in most ministries became more popular than ever as, governments really started to recognize the role that tourism can play at driving economies and the influence and contribution it plays in that economic climate.
Yeah, we were sharing these thoughts on the meeting previous to on the coffee break previous to this forum, when talking about competition that since COVID, many places in the world that were not touristic destination, they just got aware of the fabulous economic and social impact that tourism can have, and suddenly they just discover a new opportunity. And on other destinations, suddenly people realize that they had a tourism minister. Oh my God, there's somebody running this part of our economy.
We had, just to finish there, we had, because we work with multiple governments, but it was funny, during the pandemic that actually we was involved in tourism development with ministers, and during our meetings, the telephone call would come in and the minister would have to excuse themselves because the finance minister was calling them. So all of a sudden they were in demand by the important players.
when the CFO calls you, then you are important.
Exactly.
Right, okay. Zavro, let's go with your vision on it.
Yes, thank you, Eva. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to this interesting panel. Being an islander myself, it's an honor actually to talk about the Mediterranean islands. I come from the island of Hvar, Croatia. Croatia is the country of 1,000 islands, and Hvar is for sure the most renowned one. I'm working for the Sunčani Hvar Hotels Group, So we own 5 4 and 3-star hotels in Hvar, represent roughly 90% of the hotel accommodation in Hvar. So to reflect back on the previous session and the agency, I think that the key here is in branding, in marketing, and in PR. We often look at islands in a national level, but we should think on a more global scale and say, okay, we are addressing someone from Mexico, we are addressing someone from Brazil, from Australia, South Korea, America. You know, how do they perceive the Mediterranean and particularly the islands? The islands, they are the jewel of the Mediterranean. They should be considered as a premium product of Mediterranean because they are unique. In today's world, travelers are looking for a unique experience, for authentic experiences. I think that islands still can offer this to much more extent than the mainland, because they are, by nature, they are more isolated, more authentic, etc. So I think that this could be one way of it doesn't have to be a formal, let's say, association or what, but it could be in general a marketing effort when we will communicate the brand of the Mediterranean islands globally. For example, if you look at our data and the searches for Hvar, when we look at it, you know, so we see more and more that the potential guest, when they try to search for Hvar, they look, for example, not for neighboring islands, but they look for Ibiza, they look for Mykonos, they look for Santorini. So the market is already there. They are already evolving in a sense that they are considering this as a Mediterranean island. We just need to embrace this and to highlight these potentials of islands and bring them to the table and present them in a proper way, of course. So that's my general vision from the perspective of the PR and marketing. Of course, when we talk about the islands, you cannot ignore sustainability. This is something that I think it's on the islands, it's a way of life. It was always a way of life because you needed to be self-sufficient throughout the history. You always, or you have issues with the limited resources, with electricity, with water. You know, Mediterranean islands are quite diverse. You know, you cannot compare Mallorca, Malta, I don't know, Sardinia, Sicily with some of the mid-scale islands from which I come from. You know, so it's, but I do believe that most of the mid-scale islands, they share similar, let's say, destiny in terms of they all rely on tourism. It's not 90%, it's 100%. You know, the rest, 10%, it's also rated to the tourism. So we saw that during the pandemic when tourism stopped, it shut down completely. The whole destinations, they were you know, not non-active, they were dead actually. So I think from that perspective we should look at the things that are in common for the islands, because there is quite a few things that are in common with the Mediterranean islands, and not look at the things that differentiate us from all. Of course, they are only unique in a certain sense. You know, it's not the same Santorini, Hvar, or Ibiza, but there is a lot of more things that are in common between them, and we should highlight this as a strategy to move forward, especially on this global scale. You know,
I think that all of us, we shared mainly a lifestyle, this Mediterranean lifestyle, which
Absolutely.
is a non-tangible asset that we can offer to the world. We have a Mediterranean diet, which is as well a non-tangible asset that we all share. And we do have as well, I think, in common that we all have a very developed sense of hospitality in the Mediterranean. So, although each destination, in this case, each island, have different singularities, obviously Ibiza is not the same than Mykonos. Mykonos is not the same as Santorini. We are all different. Thanks God that we are different, and this is beautiful, that in such a small region we can have so much diversity, but we have many common elements that can help us on this marketing view, on this branding view, to tell the world how beautiful it is to come over, not only on season, but all year long. Let me please move to the online with Marika. Marika, good afternoon to you. Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon. Hello, and very nice to be here. And apologies if I could not join you in presence, but unfortunately, sometimes is tough to find some balance in the different agendas.
We are happy to welcome you, and we will be happy to know your vision on the topic of this panel, Marika.
Yeah, definitely. For those who don't know me, of course, I'm the Innovation Strategy Director at X23. We are a private research center and a business support organization with the kind of 20 years of experience in the business arena, and we are pretty much experienced in the management and design of tourism-related projects, quite 12 in the past 10 years. And this is pretty much interesting as a topic with respect to Ireland, because at the moment, and this is the reason why probably I am just in this panel, we are developing a project related to the cruise sector, which is in a way is impacting, as you know, the islands that are a fragile ecosystem in a way. It's really important from that perspective to understand that islands have to be considered as a fragile ecosystem to be protected. And this is something important also to increase the awareness rising of the travelers, of the visitors, that they are entering into a very fragile environment. So the cruise sector is in a way impacting the ecosystem when visitors are coming to the island using this kind of means of transportation. And this is not very different if you just looking into the sector, if we are talking about small or big vessels. The carbon footprint, just to mention one of the impact, is really important, not to mention, for instance, other specific impact that you might have at destination. So with this project, and Ascame is one of our beloved partners, we are trying to put some highlight on different aspects when it comes to Ireland and when it comes to the cruise sector. And the colleague was mentioning before the importance of the workforce and how, in particular, this is something that we are dealing with the project. Skills and blue skills are very important and are somehow pivotal to improve the capacity of the workforce at destination or on board, if we are talking about cruise sector and vessels, big or small, that they are. So capacity building will be something very important to the project in particular. And then, of course, we will have those very relevant relations with the policymakers, because, you know, sustainability should not be considered not only just a nice-have feature, but this is something that also policymakers should start more and more introducing as a very important key performance indicator at destination. So involving also tourism SMEs, regardless we are talking about cruise sector or SMEs at destination. And then we talk also about, and we touch base a little bit, innovation and digital transformation. So this is also another component very important that we consider when we are talking about islands as destination, but also means of transportation. So in our case, cruises. So in order to be more attractive and also to be more sustainable, digital transformation is really important. And in the framework of this project, we will be designing a tourism package based on both the components. So we will have eco experiences at destinations, so to raise awareness of people when they are visiting island. And on the other side, a digital component, which will be on board on the vessels. And also this will be contributing to increase the attractiveness of young generation, for instance, if we are talking about cruise sector, but also to improve their awareness at destination when they are off board and they are visiting these wonderful, beautiful landscapes. So all in all, digital transformation, green and eco sustainability and transformation, and of course, skills which are very, very important for both the sectors.
I'd love one concept that you've shared with us, Marika, and it's that the islands are fragile. And this is something I think it's quite interesting, because fragile is something that it's beautiful as well, but something that it's delicate, but something that we can break, right? And over tourism, not good use of resources, too many people visiting. I mean, we all have in our heads Ibiza in the summer, Dubrovnik in the summer, that you go just like boom, there is no place anymore for people. We don't have water, we don't have roads, we don't have hotel rooms, we don't have food. So the equilibrium to keep these fragile destinations empowered, it's not easy to find this equilibrium. So how can we face that? How can we face this equilibrium of that we need a lot of tourists to be economically sustainable? We have to treat our resources in a very wise way to be sustainable, right? And we are in a fragile territory. How do we work all these components to find equilibrium, to find a balance?
Well, that's always the complexity of tourism master planning, you know, and when working with the 5 A's, you know, when you're talking about accessibility, accommodation, attractions, activities and amenities, and getting that ecosystem to work right. The biggest challenge has always been in lots of islands is the seasonality challenge, because accessibility, when you get to the shoulder season and off-peak period, is threatened. And so that's where I think the branding, as you was just talking about, is very important, and really understanding and defining what the island or the collection of islands represent as an experience, understanding who your guest is. I think probably one of the most overused words in tourism, hotel, resort marketing today is the word experience, the word experiential.
Yeah.
It's just become a copy-paste without actually these destinations or hotels defining what experiential actually is. We all know the tourist guest, the traveler wants experience, but what type of experience? And so when it comes to branding and understanding what you represent and your place in the market, what is it you can do better than anybody else based upon your resources, your unique heritage? What is it you can do better than anybody else, and who is the audience that you're trying to reach? And how can you then stretch the season to avoid, I think we heard one of the speakers earlier on, you want to avoid the, the sun, just the sun and sand. I think we call it the fly and flop, traveler. How do we extend the season? How do we create a much more sustainable tourism and spread the spending throughout the economy?
I've been hearing seasonality and all the bad things associated to seasonality since I was 1 year old, because I come from a touristic region and a touristic destination.
That was just a few years ago, wasn't it?
That was yesterday. Thank you. But I've been hearing of seasonality as our greatest challenge for the last 2 years, 5 decades already, and we have not been able yet to find solutions on that after many decades of knowing that one of our weaknesses is seasonality, that the eyes of the world look at us only in June, July, and August, and what happens in February, whether it's beautiful, what happens in November, whether it's beautiful. Why have we not succeed in our aim to break the seasonality? Both of you. And I will back to you, Marika, with the same question. That was a difficult one, eh?
That was
not an easy one.
I'll let you take this one first.
Thank you.
I'm just a gentleman.
No, for sure, we need to be realistic and say that that currently, for the last 2 years, as I said, we have the issue with seasonality on the Mediterranean, especially on the islands. So if it is a seasonal destination, the whole Mediterranean, on the islands, it's even worse, actually. So it shuts down, it starts later and it shuts down earlier. Maybe with new markets, which are not that interested only in sun and sea at beach, with, as a colleague said in the previous panel, maybe with highlighting some other motives for arrival, could be a solution for at least extending the season to a reasonable extent, because our experience during after COVID, actually, it's that the peak season, it's even there is even higher demand than before. So after COVID, we have a worse situation than even before. So maybe with different markets, with different motifs of arrival, highlighting that we are the center of the civilization of the world, the heritage. We say in Hvar that we are an island with the most UNESCO heritage, tangible and intangible goods, 6 of them on Hvar. So maybe we should highlight this, but on the realistic side, let's work with March, April, and then let's work with October and November, and then let's have a feasible business model throughout this period.
I think what we've seen as a company working with destinations is that the out of season, you have an environment where a lot of businesses just close down, and a lot of the local businesses close down. They work for the summer season, they make the money, then close the doors, and probably some of the businesses actually, the residents are not living there.
It's a vicious circle.
Exactly.
You don't go there because there are no planes. There are no planes because hotels are shut. Hotels are shut because people are not coming, and people are not coming because the restaurant. And finally, the whole island is just like closed for seasonality.
So this is where policy making plays a role, and you've got to have a carrot. And you've got to have a stick. The stick, is really, creating the framework for tourism, attractions, activities to operate, and certain, regulations that will uphold the standards of the experience that you're promising all year round. And at the other side, you've got to have a carrot, and you want the carrot to be larger than the stick, and that carrot needs to be incentivizing locals to keep their stores open. But you've got to start somewhere, because if the tourists arrive, so you arrange the transport, the tourists arrive, and everything's closed, you're back to square one. So you've got to have this ecosystem, as I mentioned very early on, working together. And unfortunately, you can't just leave it to the free market. Policy making comes in and bringing these partners, stakeholders together so that they can collaborate.
Absolutely, and I think that this carrot is going to be one of the to-dos on the new agency. To design and to build this carrot. I see Marika on the screen just like saying yes to everything that we say.
Definitely. My colleagues have already touched a very important point, but of course, if we are just thinking of Ireland as a destination for sun and sea, then of course it's obvious that we don't have any opportunity for increasing the seasonality. But then you have to think that over there we have cultural heritage, fabulous cultural heritage, natural heritage. Then we also have festivals, we have events. So once again, policy making and destination management organization has to have the ability to design new packages, new attractive offering to the visitors, because as soon as they have attractive offering, they will be visit the destination also in different times. For instance, we designed something for the school trip tourism. This is something that can also help the destination or the island to be more attractive also in off-season, or the silver economy. So those target groups, they are just like, as you want, free from working days, and just they can fill in the slot that the destination has in that moment. So once again, synergies, capacity of planning and designing, marketing, all this is just a secret sauce for overcoming this barrier. But it's all there. I mean, it's just thinking and put it in place.
And I think that it can help us very much that we people, we don't think anymore on our holidays as laying on the beach, right, and enjoying a beautiful day of sun and sand and sea. That when we travel, we all start considering some other adventures, the gastronomic adventure, the nature adventure, the heritage adventure, not just the beach, the sun and beach model that we've been selling for so many decades. And this new trend, I think that will help us because we have the assets. We have what it's needed to be aligned with this trend and to offer to the world much more than just beautiful, the most beautiful beaches and the most beautiful sunsets and sea of the world. We have a lot to offer. The islands of the Mediterranean are those jewels that I think that everybody, at least once in their lifetime, they have to visit, because if you have not been to one Mediterranean island in your life, you don't know what paradise is.
I think, you know, one other element of a KPI in destination development is really understanding what that average length of stay is and what the target should be, that ALOS, because that frames and defines that destination experience. How engaged can the destination be to the traveler? How many days, you know, before the experience dies off? And so that can somewhat shape, from a tourism planning point of view, what the destination does better and does better than anybody else.
The best performance of each destination. Shall we just close our panel with one idea, one tweet, one concept, one question, and we close the panel like this? Marika, you are online. Your turn.
Yeah, I would say innovation. I would say that innovation is the key words for trying to, let's say, rebuild resilience, build on resilience that the pandemic has taught us. And so innovation that is also being smart, understanding the value of digital and sustainable practices in the tourism sector.
Great. Let's move to the presidential stage. This last closing conclusion.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I like the word fragile, and this is really a nice way to describe the island's tourism. We should consider about sustainable tourism. It needs to be sustainable on the island. We did quite a few practices and hotel developments, including the new sustainability practices. So there are good examples which others can follow, and we need to be aware what is our impact on the environment, especially on the island, because that's all you have. You have the limited space on limited space, and that's what you are actually selling. So so I think that from that perspective, we really need to concentrate on the sustainable travel for the islands in Mediterranean.
Roger, the cherry on the pie.
I wouldn't go that far. It's a loaded question. I think, you know, the first thing that comes to mind to me is long-term planning. Tourism, you know, you've got to have long-term planning and very clearly defined objectives of what it is you're trying to achieve and what defines success with that objective. And usually a lot of tourism destinations do not have that clearly defined. So clearly defined long-term planning. Secondly, I think we're in a very competitive landscape in the current marketplace today, and you're not just competing with other destinations, you're competing with so many different types of digital experiences. So really understanding who your guest is, where do they go, where do they spend money, what is the experience they are looking for, and shaping your destination to appeal to a specific audience it creates long-term sustainable tourism.
Absolutely. If we have the objectives, we can build up the model. If we don't know where we want to go, how can we build a model? Marika, thank you very much for joining us online. It has been
Thanks for having me.
A pleasure. And Roger, thank you very much for joining us on stage. I hope that you enjoyed our conversation, these ideas that we've been sharing on our vision on the islands, the jewels of our region. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.